Welcome back to the Our Leisure Centre. Our coverage is in association with the Sandhouse Hotel and Marine Spa in Rossnowlan. Now, just before the break, or during the break, I was told that our online system for watching us online has been rebooted. So if you were watching us on the link failed, refresh the page. A fresh link will be there and you can watch us all as it happens as well as listen. Okay, just before the break too, we were chatting that, it's predicted that there's probably one official tally left to go really until we kind of have the final picture. And as we said before all morning, that these tallies they've been done in conjunction with all parties and all hands on deck. So that means that they've been as accurate and as thorough as they possibly can be to provide us with as clear a picture as possible heading in tomorrow morning at the John Bosco Centre. We all disperse here, all the municipal districts, all the boxes go to the MDs and the official count gets underway. We're live from the John Bosco Centre from 9 o'clock tomorrow morning for I don't know how long, but according to John Ger Campbell there, it could be into the middle of next week. No, but we will be live for as long as it takes until that final seat is filled. We'll just recap on what we know so far anyway. We do see, I think we were saying before the break, that Fianna Fáil candidate and sitting councillor Micheál Naughton seems to be fairly safe, and Sinn Féin councillor Michael McMahon seems to be not too far behind. John Ger Campbell was saying as well that he is a bit of a reservation as it relates to the position of Fine Gael candidate Barry Sweeney. Isn't that right?
Yeah. The only sole reason I was saying that is that where his vote is in relation to the number of people that's to be eliminated when we get into this. And I would make the comparison that either Amanda Spoyle or new candidate down there, they have quite a number of odd votes. Like from my own area, they have 1,000 votes to be distributed. That's in stark comparison with what's in the south of the county. So that's something to keep an eye on as we go forward. The battles inside of this are unreal. They're close. Even small amounts are going to. If we look at the Amanda Spoyle and the Thomas Pringle's party Thomas Mann, and we look at some of the other numbers there, even new candidate, yes, there's maybe 100 between them, but there's nothing with the amount of votes that are still in the system. The only one person that you can say is absolutely home and hold is Michael Naughton. He's so near the quota, he may very well go over the quota on the first count, which in itself will change the game, because that will mean that when Claudia Kennedy and or Michael or Higgerty go out, as their votes are not needed by Naughton, so they'll come into play. So there's wee subplots going on here all the time, and we have an accurate figure that we say we know that on our figures Michael Naughton is well less than 100 votes from the quota. Yeah. But if we look at that, if he's one vote short of the quota, then all the Kennedy's votes come into play. So then that has a knock-on effect. So there's so many little things here that can trip people up. And I think, the other thing as well, if you count down through it, there's 6 seats, but there's a couple of candidates with there's a lot of candidates with high numbers of figures that's going to be eliminated. And that's, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, roughly speaking, we have either 6 or 7 candidates over 1,000. So it's going to be one elimination where the whole thing could go out the window here.
Change the whole dynamic.
We'll see then, for example, who did a good canvass when were they canvassing for 1, 2, 3, 4, and the instinct of a lot of canvassers is I'm looking for your vote. 1, they don't do 2. And yet, as we've seen often, I've seen 4s, 5s, and 6s have the same strength as a 1. But if you did if you went round on the guys here and say, well, the party people said, how far down the ballot paper did you canvass? Oh, well, we asked for 1s and 2s, and the strange thing is 3, 4, 5, 6, same value.
Yeah.
That's where we are now. I think it's going to be an interesting day. Hopefully, the fact that they have all separate means they can crack into the counting fairly quickly
You'd
tomorrow.
imagine so, yeah.
Now, as I say, you may have a situation on the first count where one is elected and he can get, the returning officer can get straight into eliminations. And there are a couple of 1, 2, 3 obvious eliminations. I don't think they'll put them all out together. So we should move on. But
in terms of a second person elected, though, whoever that might be, it could be some time.
Jordan is coming, and I think if somebody told me, I think there's a Mount Charles box outside.
Yeah, there's a Mount Charles box, a Meenaneary box, and a Donegal Town box still to be open.
You would have to think that in the main, like the likes of Jordan and Kennedy and even Michael Naughton, that would benefit those in the Donegal Town area, and should certainly, if he needs to go over the top, would put Michael Naughton over the top, but it's certainly going to put Jordan very, within striking distance of the top as well. After that, then, if you look at Mickey, what do you call him, Bandorden is a strong. Mickey McMahon has a strong. Is looking pretty well there too.
Yeah.
But after that, that's when
the
it
games
depends on so much. Depends on the small number of votes that somebody may get when if Michael Naughton's elected and goes over that. The surface of 50.
Yeah.
The votes will be gold dust at that point. Every vote, you're getting to the stage. This is really going to tighten up tomorrow. And but I say it's interesting to see what 1, 2, 3. What to watch for tomorrow for people that are really into this. When you have a candidate eliminated with, let's say, 500 votes, and see where it went. Just look at the non-transferables, which means people didn't either go down that or they weren't asked for a preference. And it's always interesting to see, he got 20, she got 20, he got 40, 120 non-transferables. And you always think as director of elections, well, did the guys that were out actually look for
the number 2?
Votes?
Yeah.
Because I've always believed, a lot of people vote 1 or 2, but if you said to somebody, would you give me the 3? I think they'll do it.
Yeah, true.
But if you don't bother asking, they're not going to move on. So as we get into tomorrow, it's going to be interesting. And to say, the people that have not surprised me was the wrong word. The people, in my opinion, have performed very well. Michael Naughton has come in there. He's worked hard and he's topping the poll, and that's impressive. I have to say that that jumps out at you. Some of the rest in my own area, I'm just picking things out of here. For a first time out, young Higgerty did very well. And then even in fairness and I congratulate her for putting her name in the thing, Linda Boyle, she's at 450 votes.
Yeah.
She had the courage of her conviction to go out there, never involved in politics, and put her name before the electorate.
As we were saying earlier, though, it's an incredibly brave thing to do.
Incredibly brave thing to do, and fair dues to her. Between herself and Higgerty to have 1,000 votes.
Yeah.
Now, they face the problem that many people have faced it from Brennan, from James, Francie Cunningham, Larry Messon as well. The votes are just not in our area to get over the line. And certainly when they're hemorrhaging at the rate that they were hemorrhaging today, they're not getting over the line. One time it was a big issue to get a candidate in through. if you look at the voting patterns today, it's obviously not a big issue with the electorate now, because they voted in significant numbers for candidates all down the area. And I'm not criticising, I'm just making the observation. One time the mantra in that area was, we need a local seat. And if you look at the figures today, that's obviously not an issue. That's grand. But as I say, it's really interesting to see, where we are at the minute. There's X number of people fighting for, well, let's be honest, 4 seats, because probably 2 of them are ready. They're not going to. Michael Naughton's not going to lose. Neither is Mackie. 2 of them are gone, so the rest are all fighting for 4 seats.
And how crucial are the remaining boxes? Will they have any sort of a...
Yeah, I think the other man, there's 3 actually gone. Because Jordan, he's on 1323. He will get a decent vote.
Yeah, Mancharles, yeah.
Mancharles. That's going to push him towards the quota. Maybe not over it at this point, but he's not going to be unduly worried about that, because he has Linda as a running mate in Sinn Féin. And I think the likelihood is, well, Doherty will put Mickey over the top, in my opinion. Jordan will certainly be expecting a decent transfer from Linda. He can have he doesn't have to have a sleepless night tonight. I think he can relax, have a pint and have Chinese or whatever he feels like. But then there's others I just don't know at the minute. The battle and it is a battle between Manus and Neve is a tough, very close battle that will be decided by Linda Boyle and Martin Higgerty.
Yeah.
Because they're going out, there's 100 between them, and there's 1,000 votes to come into play there in Kilcar. Right?
Yeah.
Now, if you were looking at, and I think we're speculating here, that we were looking at that realistically, because Neve is closer to the 2 Kilcar candidates physically than Manus is. You would assume she's going to get a very reasonable vote. But is she going to get enough, if there's a gap between Manus Boyle and herself, to close that gap? Because Manus is certainly going to get votes too out of it. So she needs, for example, needs, even on these figures, in my opinion, she needs to take 100 clear votes in any transfer between either Linda and Michael Higgerty. Now, as I say, what's going to play in here is the issue that the Michael Naughton isn't going to need votes at that stage, because and the other Fianna Fáil candidate, for example, is going to be gone by that stage, because she's going to be eliminated first, in my opinion. So then that leaves Higgerty's votes transferring its strength. So I think that'll be one of the key things we get to tomorrow, very quickly. What happens to the Linda Boyle has 413 and Higgerty has 5, so 1,000. There's 1,100 votes there.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is going to influence it now
in a major way.
I know everybody involved in this, but I'm not sure who's going to. My instinct would say that Neve Kennedy will benefit proportionately better Manus Boyle. Will she benefit enough to catch him, see him off? That's another day's work. I don't genuinely know that. And I think you're only going to see that when this. I think tomorrow it'll be interesting if the party people, when they start counting the votes, if they do preference tallies. And I think it's someone we need to talk to, maybe some of the people about. That it's when, let's say, they're counted tomorrow and they're put into bundles, that the parties have a tally person on, let's say, Martin Higgerty's votes to see where the twos are going. We get a picture that way, but there's a hell of a day ahead. So I don't know. Did I say Monday or finished?
Did you? I thought you said earlier in the day it was the early hours of Monday, like Sunday night. Are you stretching that forward now a bit, like Monday morning?
Stretching it out. Sure. No, I don't know. I genuinely, I think it's going long day, but if they have enough staff on, they go through. They have the votes sorted.
Yeah, as you say, the hard work's kind of done today.
The hard work, the separation, the tedious work is done. Like now, it's 10 to 6, and I think we probably have 2 more electorally is the west of the county. So some of these staff are going to be here to 10 o'clock, 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight. And remember that these ballot papers have to go back into the tins tonight, and they have to be transported to, be it Donegal, be it Donegal or some of the Highlands and Glenties. They have to be there tonight, and they have to be locked up securely for the night, and they'll all be guarded. So it's and then it all starts again tomorrow. But the fact that they're broken down like that, and the fact the European election ones are out of it, it's not too bad. I think my understanding they have to be in Galway before a certain deadline. Is it tonight or tomorrow?
I'm not sure.
Tonight, sorry, it's 12 o'clock tonight, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
I think somebody told me that they have to be
12 o'clock tonight?
12 o'clock tonight because of the European system, and nothing can be revealed till 12 o'clock tomorrow night.
Okay.
So
that'll go on for a long time.
Sure.
That could take days. Yeah.
It will take days. So just making the point here, Brenton has rejoined us. I'm just making the point that there's probably 3 to 4 seats that are very doable. But as we get to the Barmouth, there's 1,100 votes between the two Clare candidates that will most certainly decide this.
Yes.
How they go, if they split 50-50, my gut feeling is that Manners wants it. If they split 60-40, my feeling is that new candidate can win.
Well,
just throw that out there.
I think if you look at the last upload, and I'm going to look to see what boxes are missing before we go through it. The Donegal town box is still missing. It's not missing, it's just not tallied right. And there's a box in Mount Charlotte, so there's 2 boxes effectively not in our tally.
But they shouldn't affect Manners, Spoil and McGalloway Kennedy.
Well, there's 12,972 votes tallied. 12,972 votes tallied. So let's run through it here. We have Linda Boyle, Sinn Féin, 428. Manus Boyle, Fine Gael, 1,250. 1,250. Jimmy Brogan, Independent, 1,231. Patrick Brogan into 256. Dermot Doherty, Independent, 496. Martin Higgardy, Fianna Fáil, 741. Noel Jordan, Sinn Féin, 1,343. Claudia Kennedy, Fianna Fáil, 284. Niamh Kennedy, Independent, 1,079. Pádraig Kennedy, Independent, 1,198. Michael McMahon, Sinn Féin, 1,352. John Malloy, the Irish Party, 125. Michael Naughton, 1,747. Barry Sweeney, 1,265. Derek Vile, 177. Based on those 1,292 votes tallied, the quota would be 1,854 votes. So, in that last movement, Manus has gone up to 1,250 votes, just 15 behind Barry Sweeney, which you keep talking about, John.
Yeah, I'll stand over that.
And he's also gone ahead of Niamh 50, and he is ahead of Porrick Kennedy. And the point that John was making before we went into that final, albeit that there's 2 boxes that have to be collated and tallied into the system, is that there is about 1,100 votes in the parishes of Kilcar, Glen, Columkill, which are west of Niamh and west of Manus. And those eliminations, which will eventually happen, one will happen earlier than the other, but they'll happen in the first 7 counts, will determine if it's a situation that both Niamh and Manus are in equal contention for seats at the expense of Barry Sweeney losing out, or does one of those go ahead of the other and force the elimination of either Niamh or Manus? Which could
I think if you look at it, we have to be realistic. The possibility of Manus Boyle taking Sweeney's seat, if it's a party of that for Fingale, is now realistic because of the amount of votes are between them. Manus has many more options to get transfers than has Sweeney. And I think, and the more I've looked at that for hours now, I've rattled on about, but it's keeping moving up on the radar. I think there's no doubt in the world there's a few can catch him, but equally, I think Manus Boyle can catch Sweeney. There's not a doubt in the world about that. And I think what's between them now? 1,250 versus
15 votes.
15 votes.
Oh, there's no way he'll stay ahead of him.
Is that a bit of a surprise given the fact that Barry Sweeney had such a wide catchment area with Ballyshannon? And
well, there's no doubt about it. There's a quota and a half inside the town limit of Ballyshannon. But when you have no contest in an area, as I said earlier, and you have no issues coming to the front or to the fore, you voters and you don't ignite your grassroots and they don't go out to vote. If you look at the average in their boxes in the Ballyshannon area, the turnout is 50-52%, and that's a key point. And then if you look at, and John Campbell addressed it earlier, we went up to Pettigo and I think there was only 3 Fingale votes.
To me, that's when the alarm bell started to ring on this whole thing.
sorry.
I don't know what, but to go into Petticoat and taking 3 votes out of it, no disrespect, but if you're one of you ran yourselves, you get 3 votes in a booth. And I can recall the days when I was director of elections and the votes in Petticoat. There is a vote, there's people there, and I can't understand. I'd love somebody to explain to us over this day or tomorrow how come they ended up with 3 votes in Petticoat.
Let's just recap here now. All tallies are done, bar. There's one box, is it, that needs to be? Is it the Donegal Town box?
There's a Donegal Town box and Mount Charles box.
So 2 boxes left.
They won't be of any consequence
to Jordan and
well, they'll be of no consequence to Barry Sweeney, first of all.
No, he won't.
And there will be of some consequence to Manus Boyle. So in actual fact, as we sit here, Manus Boyle is technically ahead of.
I just was going to say that tonight before you go on the tallies, it's quite possible that Manus Boyle will head Sweeney. Very possible, actually, with the Charles boxes coming in. Well, so what you said 15 votes between them?
Yeah, 15 votes between them, yeah.
That's good. He'll catch him.
1,250 to 1,265.
He will catch him, yeah.
But you've been saying that all for the last few hours.
Nobody listened to me either.
We were listening to you, Shirley.
Right, there's a further update here. It mightn't be much, but we'll run through it. The amount of votes now tallied is the amount of votes tallied is 13,555, and they are as follows. Linda Boyle, Sinn Féin, 441. Manus Boyle, Fine Gael, 1,278. Jimmy Brogan, Independent, 1,335. Patrick Brogan, Aintu, 200. 77. Dermot Doherty, Independent, 496. Martin Hegarty, Fianna Fáil, 742. Noel Jordan, Sinn Féin, 1,538. Claudia Kennedy, Fianna Fáil, 286. Niamh Kennedy, Independent, 1,096. Pádraig Kennedy, Independent, 1,310. Michael McMahon, Sinn Féin, 1,358. John Malloy, the Irish Party, 131. Michael Naughton, Fianna Fáil, 1,817. Barry Sweeney, Fine Gael, 1,270. Derek Vile, 180. Based on these figures and 13,555 votes, the court 1,937 votes. So top on the poll would be Michael Naughton, about 120 votes short of the quota, followed by Michael McMahon, if I'm correct, and then followed by Brogan. Jimmy Brogan.
What have we done?
Well, I'm just going to scan the boxes.
Are those the final two boxes now?
I believe that's a full and complete tally.
Full and complete tally.
And the turnout in the Donegal electoral area was 56.2%.
Okay.
So Manus Boyle is 7 votes ahead, 8 votes ahead. 8 votes ahead of Barry Sweeney.
Malice is 8 votes ahead of Barry Sweeney.
Yeah, that's all. It's so tight at this point.
Yeah. And you reckon, what about Pádraig Kennedy, independent candidate there in Donegal Town? How's he faring, do you reckon?
Pádraig Kennedy has pulled ahead. If you look at that there now, he's at 1,310 votes. And Brogan is at 1,335.
Yeah, there's not that much between
Nicky
them, is there?
McMahon is at
No.
1,358.
They're very close.
And Noel Jordan is at 1,538. So if you look at it in the context that Michael McMahon is 600 and almost short of the quota, Jordan is 400 short of the quota. So they need 1,000 votes, but you can be elected without reaching the quota, of course. Linda Malloy has 441. And as John Campbell rightly identified early on, the fact that the two Fine Gael candidates are now neck and neck and only 8 votes between them. But if you look at Linda Malloy and Martin Hegarty, there's a transferable vote that's west of there, and the exact amount of it is significant. It's 1,183 votes. That would favour those candidates west, which would be Manus Boyle and Niamh Kennedy. And Niamh Kennedy needs a sizable transfer from those two candidates to stay in contention. She admittedly can get some from Derek Vile, 180 papers.
Yeah.
You need to be, as I said, and I think we said it 6 hours ago, this will boil down to the eventual elimination of the two candidates west of, where we say it, Finchel Bridge. So those are the hardcore realities. When we started out in the morning, did we think it would be this closely packed? I think someone said, don't be surprised if they're like Brown's cows in the middle of the field, tightly packed.
Yes.
I think you might have said
You
that.
said that yourself, and you know full well you said it yourself.
Well, I just remind you, folks.
So we're in for a long day of it, really. Tomorrow is that's the story, is it?
Yeah, look at. We can be lighthearted as we are, but the reality is people have put their, their sweat and tears and their time and everything into this.
Absolutely,
to do it for the betterment of their community, and I was one of them in my day. It's a very galling and a very challenging time on the candidates that's there and on their families. So look we can be pedantic about it here and have our jovial, but there is a human side to this. But I do believe this is going to be a long, drawn-out process till the end, and I'm very conscious that you could see at some time unknown to me a rogue transfer that'll throw all this on its head. I'm very fearful of that on the basis if you look at the voting patterns in every booth that I've seen, and even the results that were just handed to us there now.
That's Thomas Pringle just parachuting some tally figures into us as well, the final ones. I think these are the ones we had.
They're the same sheets.
Yeah.
But this will boil down to the sequence of transfers and the fact, as I said, if you look at these results that are before us here now, where you have a very fragmented voting patterns nearly in every booth that there is, but particularly in some areas, it would make it virtually impossible to predict along traditional lines of how transfers and geographical and party voting transfer patterns are. There's nothing traditional or unique here.
It's go down to, was there good canvases done by candidates representatives in relation to preferences, or did they just ask for number one? That's where it comes back to bite you.
So in many ways, if you look at all those figures that we read out all day, the contest we started out with was the vacancy for Tom Conaghan's seat.
Yeah.
That is a two-way race between Porrick and Jimmy Brogan. The dynamic is slightly changed and the dial has moved. I think Manus's seat is a head-to-head between himself and his Fine Gael running, unless there is an unknown in the transfer pattern that brings Niamh Kennedy further into the mire, and you could have a situation where she could be in jeopardy. At the minute, I don't think she is, to be fair. I think with the amount of votes that's west of her, she should hold on. But as I say, this is very early stages, and we've just completed the tally, and a lot will depend on the sequence of elimination.
Okay. We're going to maybe have a look at tomorrow then and see what the crack is. The count gets underway in earnest at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning in the John Bosco Centre, and we'll all be live, ready and waiting at that time, and we'll be sitting there for no matter how long it takes. Is everybody agreeing to that?
Why not?
Absolutely.
What else would we be doing, Catherine?
Well, this is it. But it's become very exciting, has it not?
It has. It is. It's probably one of the best areas at the moment to keep an eye on. So it'll be good.
Has there anything been coming out of Glenties yet, or any trends in that sort of way?
We'll check the live feed on Glenties, because that's something we didn't do.
Did they do something earlier? No, sorry, it's last.
Just
I think
bear
it was
with me.
Glenties
Here we go
and
now.
then Stranorlar, but I'm not quite sure.
Glenties. Oh, we have something. Let me see what's tallied. First of all, there's 7,000 votes tallied, so that'd be significant enough. Now, bear in mind, here we go. Glenties, the following is after 7,000 votes. We have Brian Carr of Sinn Féin on 438. We have Doohan Independent on 71. We have Seamus O'Duffy, Labour, on 204. We have Harkin of Intu on 240. We have Michal McGilla Asbrook, Independent, on 1083. We have Michael McClafferty, Independent, on 1223. We have McGee of the 100% Redress on 520. We have Anthony Malloy of Fianna Fáil on 1109. We have Joe Malloy of Fine Gael on 309. We have O'Donnell, non-party, on 201. Seamus O'Farry, sitting councillor for Sinn Féin, on 491. We have John Riley for Fianna Fáil, on 385. We have Anne-Marie Rogers, Fianna Fáil, on 139. We have Rogers of Sinn Féin on 450. We have Stewart, Independent, from Dunlow, I think, on 282. And we have Anne Sweeney, non-party, on 36. That's with 7,184 votes counted, which would probably be just over half of the electorate.
I think on the Glenties one, even more so than the other years, there are a couple of very distinct things to say when you're talking about Glenties. You have basically this side of the Ibarra, which is effectively an entity. You have the Rosses and the Gudor, which are two separate entities, and then you're over in the Cohanili area. So it very, very much depends there on what areas have been counted, because, like, let's say the candidates in Gudor, the stands left there no chance of getting, or our draft candidate certainly is not going to get votes back from Gudor. So there is kind of separate entities in there, but it's interesting that the independent entity and what do you call them are doing very well there.
Is that though? I kind of would have thought that they would have done well. That's not really much of a surprise, no?
Neil Collum would have been who you would have thought who would have come out front, but Michael McClafferty seems to be ahead of him at this point in time.
He's ahead of him by 200 votes.
McClafferty, that's quite, the fact that he's pulled that is really, it's some performance in fairness to it.
But he's a very honourable candidate.
He
I've met him quite a few times. You
true,
couldn't but respect him. I'm just looking at the results as I work my way across. That's a very good result for Anthony Malloy.
Very good,
He's well up. He's 1,109 votes. It's a disappointing result unless the door boxes are not in for John Hamish O'Farry. Let me see.
That's very surprising. Yeah, he came in second in the 2019
Well,
election.
Maher Roti and Mina Clady are not in.
Okay.
So
He should pull well in Gudor as well.
yes. So looking on that, and it's amazing when you look at that actually objectively. It's the heartland of Sinn Féin in Pierce Doherty's backyard, and his candidates are not doing as well as they are in other parts of the electoral areas. Brian Carr, for example, on 438, and there's a Rogers girl whose first name I have forgotten for Sinn Féin at 450, and then John Hamish, as we just said there,
491.
on 491.
That's
Now,
surprising.
I think there must be boxes that's local to these Sinn Féin candidates that's missing in order to boost them.
Where's Josie Malloy, just out of curiosity? There?
Josie Malloy of Fine Gael is on 309. So at this early stage, with half of the votes, home and hose is Councillor Michael McClafferty, Councillor McGilla Asbrook, and Councillor Anthony Malloy. All do phenomenally well. And it's wide open then after that for the next three seats, albeit that you've just a little over half of the boxes tallied.
And you thought it was quite surprising, John Gerard, for them to do that well. Why did you think that?
I just had a feeling, especially, and you look at the Micah candidate there, he's pulled very, very well. But I initially had thought that where a Micah candidate did very well, a Sinn Féin candidate would proportionately struggle as well. But they haven't. We go through the Nishon and down here, and I thought maybe that might have impacted there. But the Micah candidates have pulled well. They they haven't impacted on Sinn Féin, as we've seen from
early
starting
on.
out this
Yeah,
morning, Jack
yeah.
Murray. It's not. It's a bit surprising. I thought that both of them would be in the general area, but it's not, because proportionately it's been Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and some independents who've been the people who have lost out. I just had that feeling that could happen there, but obviously it didn't.
No, but look at the politics, however tight it's going to be up here in the Donegal electoral area. There's so many dynamics once you cross into the Glenties electoral area, geographical factors that are insurmountable. There was actually a book written about it by the students in Trinity many years ago, by a professor in Trinity. Such is the uniqueness of politics in West Donegal. But I think when the dust settles a little more and we get more live feed, I think Sinn Féin will probably come through with the second seat. It's more likely to be the Rogers girl than Brian Carr, looking at that.
Yeah, and John Hamish would need a lift as well.
There must be either boxes missing. But I have to say, it's a phenomenal result by Councillor Michael McClafferty.
Yeah,
I have to
absolutely.
take your hat off to him.
Agreed.
He's the most modest of all councillors, and admit he has no party machine behind him.
No, and I wonder, is it a testament to the amount of doors he's knocked on? Because I know he was.
And does it boil back to what we've been saying all day, to that traditional knocking on the door being so important?
But in addition to that, Michael McClafferty and those of us that followed him, he's not afraid to stand up and challenge those
He
that are
absolutely is not.
And I have seen him on occasions in the council chamber when other councillors are, let's put it one way or another, whatever they're up to, he stands up and pulls them to task. And that goes back to the point that I said, unless the middle ground holds, you're going to have these fringes continue to develop unless the middle challenges them.
I wonder would he have done as well if he'd have stayed with Fine Gael?
Not a hope.
I don't think so.
Not at all.
Especially after we've seen the results today.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm just looking at something very interesting here. We're talking about, but Jerry Connor, Jerry Begg, they're all through.
Are they?
They are, yeah. See?
Did we get the Glenties in?
Oh, sorry. Well, if they are, then we need to look at this differently.
Okay.
Oh, let's look at this quickly. Bunbeg isn't in.
No, it's not.
Bunbeg is not. The Carricannons, well, that's why McClafferty's high. Priestley's not in, so that'll help McClafferty and Harkin. Derrybeg, one of the Derrybegs is not in yet, so that will also help John Hamish a little bit. The Dunlows are not in, and I just want to look at the two other Dunlow boxes here, and Jonathan Stewart. No.
John Riley, that should actually, the Fianna Fáil candidate, John Riley, there should benefit from the Dunlow boxes, hopefully.
Yes. So then if you look at Glenties, which will further benefit Anthony Malone, although it'll help Brian Carr as well. Let me look further down here. Letcher will again benefit Brian Carr, Riley, Jonathan Stewart, Maher Rorty will benefit the redress. And the redress.
Dennis McGee as well should do well there.
So Brandon Fast will benefit
Kelly Rogers. And Neil Holland-McGillespie.
Yeah.
And just bear with me, Marie Rogers and 129. Yeah.
Is Tory counted?
Tory is not, no. Look at John's point is fair. There are a few opportunities there for John Hamish to hold Derrybeg, Bunbeg, but let's look at it again where he is. He's on 460. And Anne-Marie Rogers at 449. Just bear with me a second. Yeah. There seemed to be tactical open there, was there? They might have overstretched their. Look at.
What are you thinking there?
Cut forward. Well, that's a huge area for John Hamish's body that it hasn't been counted.
There's only is there only half the boxes open for Glenties so far, is it?
That's true.
Yeah, it's very hard to take a picture on it.
I'll tell you what we do. I think we'll wrap it up for this evening.
Perfect.
And
Thank you very
we will join forces once more from 9 a.m. at the John Bosco Centre in Donegal Town, where the count officially begins in earnest from there. My sincere thanks to you for joining us today. That's Michelle Fadging, journalist, former councillor and director of elections for Fianna Fáil, Brendan Byrne, and John Gerard Campbell, former director of elections for Fine Gael in Donegal Southwest. We're going to join Niall Delaney at the Sligo Leitrim count for the rest of the evening. I also want to thank Margaret Carr-Flynn on production, Kevin Fury on sound and technical, and Donal as well, Donal Ryan on social media. As I said, we're back from 9 a.m. from the John Bosco Centre in Donegal Town.
Thank you very much, Catherine.